Hello everyone, welcome back to fifth part of this video. So your first question is identify the following instrument used for route planning. Okay, so here you can see the image clearly and your options are option A hoe, option B file, option C scaler and curettes. The right answer is obviously you know already. There is curate is right answer. Option D is the right answer. This image is of curate and it is preferred for subgingival scaling and route planning because of the advantage afforded by its design. Okay, so the right answer is option D, curate. Now come to the next question. Identify the following A. Here you can see the A they labeled. So your options are option A is gingivodental fiber, transeptal fibers, circular fibers and semicircular fibers. These are the option. What are the right answer? The image is of circular fiber. The right answer is option C. Okay, because they course through the connective tissue of the marginal and interdental gingiva and encircle the tooth in a ring like fashion. Okay, so the answer is circular fiber. Option C is the right answer. Now come to the next question. It's a repeated question. What is the important feature of the following fibers? Okay, option A is largest group of fibers. Here you can see this arrow. They are talking about, they are asking about this fibers. Okay, this fiber. Okay, the option is A is largest group of fibers, B is reconstructed even after destruction, C is prevent extrusion of tooth and D is absent in incompletely formed roots. Okay, so what are the right answer? The right answer is option D, absent in incompletely formed roots is the right answer. Why? Because the image is of apical fiber guys here. Okay, so these are basically nothing, they are apical fibers and they radiate in a rather irregular fashion from the cementum to the bone at the apical region of the socket. So basically they do not occur on incompletely formed roots. Okay, so they are absent in incompletely formed roots is the right answer. Now come to the next question. Here are the image. What is the main source of this type of calculus? Okay, so you can see the calculus and your option is saliva, GCF, food particles and none of the above. Okay, what are the right answer? The right answer is option A, saliva. Okay, the right answer is option A, saliva, because the image is of supragingival calculus on the mandibular anterior region, because mandibular anterior region is more prone for this kind of calculus. Okay, so this image is supragingival calculus and it is located coronal to gingival margin and therefore is visible in the oral cavity. So basically how saliva is responsible for this kind of calculus. Saliva from the parotid gland flow over the facial surfaces of upper molars via the parotid duct, where the submandibular duct and lingual duct empty onto the lingual surface of the lower incisors. So basically they empty their duct on the lingual surface of lower incisors. Okay, from the submaxillary and sublingual glands, so respectively, which is the main source of its formation. So here is the option A is the right answer, saliva. Okay, I am explaining to you each and every so that you can never forget this. Okay, because by only reading questions and only telling the answer is not enough. If you understand my explanation, what I am trying to say you why is this is the answer, so you can probably recognize for longer period of time. Okay, now the next question is, what will be the probable etiological agent causing periodontal disease in 47-year-old female with the following condition? So here you can see the picture and your options are, what are the options? Option A is presence of pocket, option B is overhanging margins of restoration, option C is calculus and option D is all of the above. So here if you see, there is a restoration and you can easily see that there is a overhanging margin of restoration. So the clear cut answer is option B, overhanging margin of restoration. Now come to the next question. Your next question is, a 39-year-old male patient with the habit of smoking 8-9 cigarettes per day have the following clinical condition. What will be the possible explanation for it? So here hint is 8-9 cigarette smoking patient. Okay, So they asking what will be the possible explanation for it. Okay, so your options are harbor subgingival microflora, more virulent microflora, both A and B, and none of the above. So here the right answer is option C, both A and B. There may be the cause of harbor subgingival microflora more, because this is a clear cut case of periodontitis, and more virulent microflora. Obviously we can see the condition, there is bacterial growth are there. So basically this all are responsible for this. So the tissue harbor more pathogenic subgingival microflora, and flora may be more violent. So both A and B is the right answer. So option C is the right answer. Now come to the next question. Very important question. Microflora most commonly associated in a type 2 diabetic male patient having the following clinical condition. So you can see the clinical condition here. There is a clear cut condition of periodontitis. Obviously we can see there is recession there, there is a tooth deformation there, and many more. There is calculus there. Okay, so your option is option A, Candida albicans, option B is Capnocytophaga, and option C is P. gingivalis, and then D is actinomyces. And here is the answer of option C, P. gingivalis. Okay, the image show presence of periodontitis, and black pigmented species, especially P. gingivalis, P. intermedia, and C. rectus are predominant in severe periodontal lesion of patient with type 2 diabetes. So this is a main thing, that is P. gingivalis is predominant lesion. So P. gingivalis is basically present with type 2 diabetes. Okay, so here's the answer is P. gingivalis. Come to the next question. So here you can see two picture on a same frame, and the question is a 15-year-old male patient having congenital disease caused by chromosomal abnormality with mental and growth retardation and following clinical feature. What will be the probable diagnosis? Okay, so chromosomal abnormality, congenital diseases, mental growth retardation, here all are the given options, or all are the given hint here. Your options are option A, Papillon-Lefer syndrome, B is Chedwick-Higashi syndrome, D is Down syndrome, and C is Down syndrome, and D is lazy leukocyte syndrome. And here the answer is Down syndrome. Okay, the image depict a patient with Down syndrome, or trisomy 21 we also call. Basically it's a congenital disease, we already know, which is caused by a chromosomal abnormality. Okay, and what are the characteristics of Down syndrome? There is mental deficiency, there is growth retardation. So they already give the hint that there is growth retardation and there is mental abnormality. Okay, so these are the feature of Down syndrome. So what are the and this image, deep periodontal pockets is there. So if we see in Down syndrome, the oral cavity affected by deep periodontal pocket. Okay, and also associated with moderate gingivitis. So there is inflammation of gingiva also there, calculus formation is there, plaque formation is there. So your right answer is option C is the right answer, Down syndrome. Now come to the next question. What is measured by the following device? It's a very easy question. You can see the device itself mention the name halimeter. Okay, and your option is option A, amount of GCF, option B is concentration of urea, option C is concentration of ammonia, and option D is concentration of hydrogen sulfide. So halimeter, what does halimeter do? Halimeter do what? It's measure the false smelling. Okay, so basically concentration of hydrogen sulfide is the right answer. Okay, because it's an electronic device that analyze the concentration of hydrogen sulfide and at the same time methyl mercaptan also, but without discriminating them. Okay, so absence of breath malodor leads to reading of 100 ppb or lower. Patient with elevated concentration of volatile sulfur compound easily reach 300-400 ppb. So your right answer is option D, concentration of hydrogen sulfide. Now come to the next question. Again very important question. A young adult has habit of chewing peppermint flavored chewing gum for whole day. Represent the following clinical condition. Okay, 269. Okay, the options are option A, pyogenic granuloma. Option B is atypical gingivitis. Option C is plasma cell gingivitis, and B is both B and C. Okay, the right answer is both B and C. Atypical gingivitis and plasma cell gingivitis both are correct. Why? Because plasma cell gingivitis is thought to be allergic in origin and possibly related to component of chewing gum and dentifrices or various diet components, and it is also known as atypical gingivitis because plasma cell gingivostomatitis is also called atypical gingivitis. So basically both are the right answer, so option D is the right answer. Okay, now come to the next question. A 50-year-old female having autoimmune disorder with presence of BP1 and BP2 and following feature. You can see clearly. Now the question related to this is what will be the probable diagnosis? Okay, what will be the probable diagnosis? And your option is bullous pemphigoid, cicatricial pemphigoid, third is pemphigus, and fourth is lichen planus. The right answer is option B. Option B is the right answer. Okay, because this condition involving the oral cavity and the eyes also. Okay, and mucous membrane pemphigoid, also known as cicatricial pemphigoid, is a chronic vasculobullous autoimmune disorder of unknown cause that predominantly affect women in the 5th decade of life. Okay, so the option B is the right answer. And the next question is same related to the next question is how many subtype of above condition are there? Okay, so there are at least 5 subtype of cicatricial pemphigoid. So option D is the right answer. And what are the 5 subtype? There is oral pemphigoid, there is anti-apellergen pemphigoid, anti-BP antigen mucosal pemphigoid, ocular pemphigoid, and multiple antigens pemphigoid. Okay, so basically you don't need to remember all of this name, but you have to remember that there is 5 subtype of above condition. Okay, now come to the next question. Next question is, in a 25-year-old male patient, a bony nodule-like condition is present. You can see clear in picture, and there is arrow also indicated for this. Identify the following condition. Okay, and your option is option A, osseous crater. Option B is reversed architecture. C is exhaustosis, and D is all of the above. Your right answer is the images of exhaustosis, which are considered an outgrowth of bone of varied size and shape. Okay, and palatal exhaustosis also there have been found in 40% of human skulls. So they can occur as small nodule, large nodule, sharp ridge, and spike like projections also. Okay, so basically the right answer is exhaustosis. These are nothing but exhaustosis. Now come to the next question. Again, a 40-year-old patient have following type of lesion with respect to a vital tooth. What is the main objective of treating such condition? Okay, your option is option A, control spread of infection. Option B is establish drainage, and both A and B, and no treatment is required. So 40-year-old male patient, such type of lesions are there, vital tooth is there. What is the main objective for treating such condition? I guess the option C is the right answer. Definitely both A and B is the right answer, because we have to control the spread of infection obviously, and also establish the drainage, because we can see that there is a swellings are there, so maybe inside there is pus formation is there definitely. So we have to drain such things, and at the same time control spread of infection also. So both A and B is the right answer. Now come to the next question. What is true about the following type of bone loss? Okay, and your option is it is mostly present in gingivitis, only facial plates are affected, most commonly present in periodontitis, and all of the above. What are the right answer? The right answer is option C, most commonly present in periodontitis. such kind of conditions present in periodontitis. So the radiographic image is of horizontal bone loss. We can see here there is horizontal bone loss. It is most common pattern of bone loss in periodontal disease, and the bone is reduced in height but the bone margin remains approximately perpendicular to the tooth surface. Okay, so the interdental septa and facial and lingual plates are affected but not necessarily to an equal degree around the same tooth. So basically these are horizontal bone loss, or if you can remember this horizontal bone loss pattern, so you can easily found this kind of bone loss in periodontitis and you can easily solve this question. So option C is the right answer, most commonly present in periodontitis. Now come to the next question. What is the pathogenesis of the following case in a 35-year-old patient? And your option is option A, weak periodontal support, B is increased forces exerted on tooth, both and B, and decreased forces exerted on tooth. So what are the right answer? The right answer is option C, both A and B. The case is a typical of pathologic tooth migration. Obviously you can see there is a midline diastema also there, right? Pathologic migration refers to tooth displacement that result when the balance among the factors that maintain physiologic tooth position is disturbed by periodontal disease. So basically the right answer is weak periodontal support, that's why this migration happened, and it also increased forces exerted on tooth. These are all, both are the reason of migration of that tooth and spacing of that tooth. So basically the right answer is both A and B. Now come to the next question. A 45-year-old HIV positive patient represent following patch-like areas that doesn't rub off. What will be the probable diagnosis of this condition? So HIV positive and area doesn't rub off, guys. Okay, doesn't rub off. So what are the options here? The options here is option A is candidiasis, B is atypical ulcer, C is hairy leukoplakia, and D is none of the above. Remember one thing and mark my word, in HIV positive patient just say the answer hairy leukoplakia, because in HIV or AIDS patient there is hairy leukoplakia is present. Okay, 80% of condition is hairy leukoplakia, so your right answer is hairy leukoplakia. Okay, the option C is the right answer, because HIV patient is more prone for this due to low immunity. Okay, now last question. Identify the following most common oral malignancy associated with HIV positive patient. Again HIV positive and there is malignancy, you can see in this picture, and your option is Kaposi sarcoma, bacillary angiomatosis, oral hairy leukoplakia, and none of the above. I know I tell you oral hairy leukoplakia, but there is a malignancy, and malignancy, what are the right answer? The Kaposi sarcoma option A is the right answer, because it is a most common oral malignancy associated with AIDS. Okay, this angioproliferative tumor is rare, multifocal, vascular neoplasm, but it is associated mainly with HIV positive patient. Okay, so virus causing this disease was originally named the Chaos herpes virus, but has now been designated as human herpes virus 8. Okay, so the right answer is option A. So hope you like the video, hope you understand more and more every day, guys. So hope you like the video, give the thumbs up, guys, and we will meet tomorrow. Okay.